So just kind of a quick review of what we did. If I need to find the cosine of 52 degrees, what do? You just punch it in the calculator, right? What are you going to get? 6157. If I need to find the cosecant of 31 degrees, what am I going to do? Okay, so this one I've got to do sine, no second yet, 31 and then reciprocal, which will give us what?
Wait, inside the parentheses?
Nope, you're right, outside the parentheses in this direction. Reciprocal's outside the parentheses. 1.942. What if I tell you that the sine of angle A equals 0.73? How do I find angle A? Yeah, just the second sine, right? Inverse sine. So I calculated, yeah, second sine, 0.73. 46.89. What if I tell you that the secant of an angle equals 2.11? How do I find that angle?
Second cosine 2.11.
Okay. Perfect. We do the second cosine of the inverse cosine, so second cosine, the 2.11, and then we do the reciprocal inside the parentheses when we're inversing. We're at 61.71 degrees. If I were to give you a triangle that looks like this, and tell you that this is 9 feet, this is 12 feet, and this is 15 feet. This is angle A and angle B. If I were to ask you the sine of angle A, what would it be? Opposite, which would be which side? 12 over the hypotenuse. Remember, over 15. 12 over 15, you just leave it like that, right? These all coming back to you? Good. So here we go. It was already pointed out a little bit the other day that there is a relationship between sine and cosine. When we're looking at our unit circle, pretend that's a circle. We have our angle here, and this side is the sine of our angle. We'll call it angle A. And this side right here is the cosine of that angle. Well, since this is a right triangle, the hypotenuse, and we know the hypotenuse equals 1 because the radius of the circle is 1. Any right triangle, we have the rule, the Pythagorean rule, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So what that means is cosine of angle A squared plus sine of angle A squared has to equal 1 squared, or just 1. So if I know that the sine of angle A is 0.4, I can find the cosine of angle A. Because the cosine of angle A squared has plus 0.4 squared has to equal 1 squared, or just 1. So the cosine of angle A squared, 0.4 squared is 0.16. We subtract 0.16. Get the cosine of angle A squared equals 0.84. And then we square root it. So the cosine of angle A equals the square root of 0.84. 0.9165. So in this case, if we know one trig function, is either the sine or cosine, we can find all of the others. What do I mean by all of the others? Well, let's look at another identity. We've already seen, of course, that secant is 1 over cosine and cosecant is 1 over sine. But let's look at tangent for a second. If I'm looking at angle A here, this is my opposite side, this would be my adjacent side, and this would be my hypotenuse. Tangent of angle A would be the opposite side over the adjacent side. Definition of tangent. Let's look at sine of angle A. That would be the opposite side over the hypotenuse. And the cosine of angle A would be the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. What if I did the sine of angle A divided by the cosine of angle A? That would be opposite over hypotenuse divided by adjacent over hypotenuse. How do I divide fractions? I do the reciprocal and multiply. The top number, this one is going to stay the same, but then I'm going to take the reciprocal of this one, so it'll be hypotenuse over adjacent. And then I'll multiply. Well, see here, hypotenuse divides out, and I'm left with opposite over adjacent, which is the definition of tangent. So the tangent of an angle, tangent of angle A is the same as the sine of angle A divided by the cosine of angle A. Let's verify this. Let's pick an angle and see if this works. So let's do 60 degrees. Tangent of 60 degrees should come out to be 1.732, correct? Punch in your calculator, double check me. It is. Sine of 60 degrees is 0.866. Cosine of 60 degrees is 0.5.
You literally feel like my mind is just blown every time he doesn't use any calculator.
So if I divide those out, in certain of those infinite series, there's a lot of terms that cancel out and makes it really simple. Certain angles are very simple to calculate. So 0.866 divided by 0.5, that's sine divided by cosine, is 1.732. So it's true, the tangent of that angle is just equal to the sine of that angle divided by the cosine of that angle. So with this information, if I give you that the cosine of angle B equals 0.53, we can find every other trig function of that angle.
Even
Well, we know that the cosine of B, which is 0.53 squared, plus the sine of B squared is going to equal 1, right? Yes, sir.
so can you do it like this? Would you be able to do this like if you just got the cosine? Would you be able to find the cotangent and everything?
Yep, we're going to get all 6 of them here.
Oh my god.
So we've got the 0.53 squared is 0.2809 plus the sine of B squared equals 1. So now we're going to do what, Drew? That's what I thought. 0.2809. So sine of B squared equals 0.7191. And then we square root. Sine of B is second square root 0.7191. 0.848. So we've got the sine. We already had the cosine of B was 0.53. Can I find the tangent of B? is going to be 0.848 divided by 0.53. No, I won't do that to you. So 1.6 is the tangent of B. Can I find the cotangent of B? Remember, the cotangent of B is just 1 over the tangent of B, which means I'm just going to flip this over. It's going to be the cosine over the sine. Or 0.53 over 0.848. Otherwise known as 0.625.
Come on, Mike.
Did you sell your soul to the devil to be able to do that?
Twice.
Twice. I mean, I definitely, if it meant that I could do all of this without even having to think, then yeah, I would definitely sell my soul twice.
Secant of B is the reciprocal of the cosine, 1 divided by the cosine, so it's 1 over 0.53. So 1.887. And finally, the cosecant of B is 1 over the sine of B. Or 1 over 0.848, which will be 1.179. What do you think? Not too bad?
I think you're a cognizant man.
Do you think you guys could do this on your own?
No, it's just gonna be a break.
Yeah, this recording will be out there.
You're gonna have to go over that like 5 more times.
Watch the videos.
If I tell you that the secant of angle D equals 3.5, can I find all the other functions?
Hold up. Let me write it down before you go.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually going to argue that this is the same problem we just did up above.
Well, I mean,
It probably is.
Because the cosine of D is 1 over the secant. If secant is the reciprocal of cosine, cosine is the reciprocal of secant.
slow down.
So the cosine is 1 divided by 3.5. Otherwise known as 0.2857143 approximately. Once you know the cosine of D, it's just like the last problem. Right?
I was too busy, like, my mind was too busy being broken, so.
My mind's too busy trying to get my muscles to write it down.
Have you guys see if you can find those other functions quick there. The other functions would be sine of D, which you're going to do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Tangent of D, which is going to be sine divided by cosine. Cotangent of D, which is going to be cosine divided by sine. And cosecant of D, which is 1 divided by the sine. So for the sine of D, we know that the cosine of D, 0.2857 squared, plus the sine of D squared equals 1. So I'm just going to do this in the calculator. I'm going to clear this out. It's going to be the square root of 1 minus 0.2857 squared. 0.9583. Does everybody see how I did there? I just solved this equation, but I did it all in the calculator, so I didn't have to do it step by step.
Wait. Okay, so you moved the 1.
I squared this, I subtracted it from 1, and then I square rooted it.
His calculator show up on the video, right?
Yeah, the calculator shows up on the video.
Okay, good.
It's 0.9583.
What?
I squared this, right?
Okay.
Then I subtracted that from 1.
Let me square that.
You get 4/49. 0.08 something. You subtract that from 1, and then you square root it. should get this.
What'd you say I would get?
0.9583 when you.
I have 0.9183.
Ah, you did something wrong.
I did something wrong?
Yep. You got to square root that yet. That's why.
Square root what?
Not 0.91. Do the square root of that.
Well.
You got the answer key down there. You just do second square root, then second A and S. 0.9583. So now our tangent is going to be found by just doing the sine divided by the cosine. That'll give us the tangent.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Why did you start going to the fourth digit?
I don't know. I just did.
That's one of the things that's
So I'm getting 3.35 for the tangent. The cotangent is just going to be the other way around. It's the cosine, the 0.2857, divided by the sine of 0.9583, which is
Look at those numbers so I can sell my soul.
0.298. And of course the cosecant is 1 divided by the sine, so 1 divided by 0.9583. $1.044.
Can I just go home and cry now?
Homework for you guys out of the book. Page 701 and 702. And then on page 730 and 731. There's homework on this stuff. You guys got about 18 minutes to get a good start on it here. Get feeling all good about yourself. And then finish it up over the weekend. May or may not be a quiz on Tuesday.
No.